Welcome back to WagerTalk.com. It's the breakdown with Brian and Marco. We're going to give you a handicapping talk. We're going to look at a topic each week. And this week, Brian, college basketball just tipped off over the weekend. And early season college basketball, for a lot of cappers, they love it. A lot of cappers hate it. And then there's guys in the middle. Are there things that you like with college basketball early in the season, or specific things that you look at, or something you might want to share with the listeners to help them in doing their handicapping on this early season basketball?
Yeah, what I try to look at is which teams are bringing back their point guard, which teams are bringing back a lot of starters. I'll use our local team here, the UNLV Rebels. 5 starters coming back this year, but not on our team. We have 0 starters, 5 new starters on the UNLV team. The first 2 games they were lucky to win. They were playing veteran teams, good teams that won 20 games or more previous season that brought back 4 starters or so or the point guard, and they really struggled. They got lucky to win the games, and a lot of it was the home cooking from the refs. So you can basically take a look at when teams match up that have a lot of starters coming back and the point guard, there should be, now it doesn't always work out to be the case, but they should be above the teams just trying to get their roles set in early in the season. For example, Kentucky. Kentucky always has a lot of guys leave early, go to the NBA. So that's a team that you see a lot of times slow out of the gate, but by the time the tournament comes around, they're a team you want to bet on.
Hey, this was the breakdown with Brian because he took all my stuff. No, no, I agree with you 100%. And it's the same as college football, to be honest with you. We look at returning starters, but the key, obviously, is the quarterback when you're looking offensively. But second would be the offensive line, because that's what makes everything go. With basketball, the point guard is the quarterback. He's going to make it go. He's going to get the continuity. And a lot of times, Brian, what I really like is to go a step further as far as the teams with the starters coming back. When you get these teams from mid-majors that have the starters coming back, generally it's not only coming back from 1 year. A lot of times it's 2 years, because they don't have all of those guys, like you say, to Kentucky, come in and gone, that constant turnover. And we saw it like when Butler made their runs all those years. You know, you get those mid-majors that, because these kids they were just a step below the blue chip programs, and they're not going to be high NBA draft picks, but they're in school and they might play 3 or a rarity in college basketball, be there for 4 years, and you get a team like that, a veteran team, especially early in the season. Those are go-on teams, absolutely, in my opinion.
Yeah, I talked about home cooking with UNLV. What I like to look at is when teams play at a lesser conference. It doesn't happen very often, but a lot of times you find a team that is not going to go to the NCAA tournament because their conference is so weak. When they get a chance to host a very good team that comes in, now it doesn't happen very often, as I pointed out, you know you're going to get their supreme effort, because that's their big check mark on their itinerary at the end of the year. It says, hey, this team from the big conference came in and we beat them on our own court.
It is, and also early in the season, pay attention to the scheduling too, because you don't, once you get to conference play, it's a routine. You know, certain conferences are going to play certain night midweek, and then they're going to play on Saturday. You get into a routine. The first college basketball play that I made this season, it was partly a scheduling play and partly returning starters. I had a team that played a West Coast team, Pacific, went and played Western Illinois on Friday night, went to overtime with that team. They didn't return a lot of starters, had to go from Western Illinois, come back to the West Coast, play Cal Irvine, a team that they've beaten each of the last 2 years. It just, in a turnaround from Friday to Sunday and stuff, from, you know, the coast. Now, when you're trying to break in a new team, it's disruptive. The last thing I'll say, you touched upon the blue chip programs with the turnover. Just like we saw in the NBA, when LeBron went to Miami to start, and you had the big 3 there, even though you have all those superstars, everybody automatically expects success. You still have to create chemistry. And sometimes it's harder to make chemistry with 5 blue chippers that are projected superstars than it is to have just 5 average players come into a new system, because when you got superstars, it's like, who gets the ball, who does it. You're trying not to step on everybody's toes and trying to make everybody happy. And sometimes we saw that with LeBron a lot at the beginning. He wasn't being assertive, trying to get everybody else into the game, and that wasn't his game. He needed to be aggressive and get it, because he didn't want the new guy in town step on Dwayne Wade's toes and stuff like that. I see the same thing in college basketball with the blue chip programs.
And keep in mind, a lot of the times the teams will schedule games to play at home against lesser competition. When you have a lot of new guys coming in, when they go on the road for the first time, that's when you want to go against them. And I touched on UNLV. They're playing Stanford this weekend up in New York, and that's going to be a really tough game for them, because they did get a lot of home cooking, and a lot of these teams get a lot of home cooking when you're playing a lesser competition at home. It's not going to be the same way when you go on the road against a quality opponent.
All right, I hope that helped you guys with your early season college basketball handicapping. We'll be back next week with another breakdown from Brian and Marco as we try to help you become a better handicapper. That's it for this week. We'll be back next week here on WagerTalk.com.
Congratulations.